Hey everybody, welcome back to Horror Trans. I'm Stephanie Bree. I'm a transgender woman, and I talk about horror. And today I'm continuing my review of the Scream franchise, and we're all the way up to Scream 4. Um, ugh, where do I even begin? This movie's got some cinema sins, unfortunately. This one's got some strikes against it. Strike one is they're continuing the movie within a movie Stab franchise, but this time we're all the way up to Stab 7. But Stab 7 starts with two characters on the couch watching Stab 6, which is ridiculous. Why would they be doing that? I don't know. And so we get this fake out where you think you're watching Scream but you're really watching Stab 6, and then we get a second fake out where you think you're watching Scream but you're really watching Stab 7, and then we finally get to Scream 4. And so that turns me off. I already don't like the meta bullshit in these movies. So that already sets the tone for me not liking this movie. So now it's the anniversary of the Woodsboro murders, and Sydney has come back to town because she wrote a book telling her side of the story as a survivor to counteract Gail Weathers' story, which was turned into the Stab movies. Gail is back. This time she has writer's block. She's not been able to finish her new book. She hasn't even started it. She is married to Dewey in this movie, finally. There was a lot of back and forth in the three previous films. And Dewey is investigating the new murders, and we have a group of unlikable teenagers whose names didn't stick in my head. And this time around, we actually have a film club, and so they're even more meta. And the film club is headed by these two geeks. One of them wears a GoPro type camera on his head and walks around live streaming the high school like all day long, which I think is ridiculous. I don't know if kids do that in real life or not. If they do, I think that's pathetic. But it's still pathetic in this movie, and so it was disinteresting. It didn't further the movie at all. It was just sort of shoehorned in. Oh, we got to modernize Scream and make it hip, I guess. We get some okay kills in this one. Not as good as the previous ones, but they're good kills. Um, excuse me. This time around, we find out that the killer, and again, it's two killers this time. Scream 3 was the only one up to this point that only had one killer, so up to this point there had been two. So now we're back to two killers again, which is the formula. The first killer is one of the movie geeks, and his motivation doesn't make sense at all. He's making a film, and they're copycatting the first killers, Billy Loomis and Stu Macher, and they're trying to recreate the first movie so that they can get a new movie made in the franchise, the Stab franchise, that is actually based on real events again because they're obsessed with the movies apparently. They're having a quote Stab marathon, and so Gail goes to investigate the Stab marathon because she thinks the killer's going to be there, and surprise, the killer's there, and she gets attacked, and Dewey shows up, and then Gail gets stabbed and gets taken to the hospital. This time around, Dewey is actually the sheriff instead of just a deputy, and we have a new deputy in this movie who's played by a blonde girl. I don't remember her name, but you know her from Sugar and Spice. She was the pregnant teenager in Sugar and Spice, so I'll save you the trip to IMDb. And we find out that the other killer is actually Sidney Prescott's cousin. And her motivation is she doesn't like living in the shadow of Sidney Prescott. She wants to be her own person. She wants her own 15 minutes of fame. And so for her, it's all about the fame. And, yeah, it's not a very good motivation either. If you watched my previous review of Scream 3, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now I don't like Scream 4. This is probably the worst of the franchise. I just don't like it. This is not a good movie. This is a rent at best. I don't recommend it at all. I mean, there's no redeeming factors to this movie. It's just boring. It's unfortunate this was the last one Wes Craven made before he died. It sucks that he died, and I would say the franchise should have died with him, but I may change my mind when I watch 5 and 6. We'll see. Stay cool.